And we are live. Guys, I'd like to welcome everybody to Let's Talk Fishing Video Podcast. My name is James. I'm going to be your podcaster. The man I have on tonight, I've had him on before. And, one of the things I love doing, I love publicizing charity fishing events. And this guy is a class act. He has a class act fishing event. It's called Kickin'Bss for Cystic Fibrosis. And the actual tournament is going to take place May 18th on Lake St. John in Louisiana. For those of you that aren't familiar with that, Lake St. John is up there by Vidalia. I've fished it. It's a great lake to fish. How are you doing tonight, Chris?
Jay, I'm doing great, man. And I guess first and foremost, I want to thank you for allowing me the platform to come here and speak with you and talk about our tournament, talk about our cause, and talk a little bit of fishing. So I thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, I'd like to thank you for contacting me. I tell people, and people are like, can I be on your show again? Of course you can, but you have to contact me, guys. I do 2 shows a week. I have a full-time job. I have kids. And then, I also like to fish. This time of the year, I'm fishing pretty much every weekend because I just want to get it in before it gets to be, 90, 100 degrees. Absolutely. But enough about me. When is your tournament going to take place?
So the 7th annual Kickin'Bss for Cystic Fibrosis tournament will be May 18th out of Spokane's Resort there in Faraday, Louisiana. We're fishing Lake St. John. That's where that tournament's been every year, I guess, for the past 6 years in a row. And we're hoping that we have a great turnout. We have the years past. I think we fluctuated between, I guess the first year or two, 20, 30 boats, 25, 30 boats, something like that, up to, I guess our peak has been around 65-ish, 68-ish teams to join, which is really a good number of boats for that lake, and really probably, I don't know if that lake can support a whole heck of a lot more than that. So we're comfortable with that. And but yeah, so May the 18th, Lake St. John. You guys can go ahead and start sending in entry forms. They'll be posted at Charles Anderson's Minorca Tackle here at some point. I've got to get those out here pretty soon. They'll also be there at the resort at Spokane's, and we're looking forward to it, Jay.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to sign up for this, could they sign up for this through the Kickin'Bss for Cystic Fibrosis Facebook page?
They could certainly request a form to be sent directly to them.
Okay,
I can post an email address on the page here. Typically, a lot of them come through, picking up the brochures or the flyers there at the at those couple of places that I've mentioned, or by all means, anybody that needs a form that can't get to either of those 2 places can contact me. My information is on the Facebook page. We'll make sure that it's there. My email address, CA McVay 1, which is CAMCVAY 1 at gmail.com. They can email me that, and I'll send them a flyer to their email. And all that we ask is that, I guess, up until the Wednesday or Thursday before the tournament, which I think is the 16th, they can send in checks, and but we'll leave, I guess, here to go up to the camp and the lake and all for the tournament after that. So it would be cash pay at the ramp.
Well, you can even pay cash at the ramp. That's nice.
Cash at the ramp. No penalties for joining the day of. We try to incentivize people to join early because we assign boat numbers by entries received.
Sure.
So as I get entries received, I assign a boat number. Typically, in years past, we let them go 10 at a time. We'll kind of gather at the ramp, and I'll walk up to them in the pier and call out boat 1 through 10. They'll take off, let them get a safe distance away, and we'll keep on going until we get through all of our boats. So the earlier you join, the better chances you have of getting a better boat number and leaving a little bit earlier than everybody else, getting that honey hole before they do.
Well, that's awesome. So this is a team tournament, guys. Team tournament.
Team tournament. You can certainly fish solo, but it is indeed a team tournament.
And entry fees?
$150, and that includes the big bass fee, and it also includes the boat ramp charge. And also, you'll get a meal. We'll feed you guys at the end. The food is provided by us. I think usually we have a pastelaya or fried fish or jambalaya, something like that, and that and a good bottle of water is on us We'll also have raffle tickets. We'll have plenty of door prizes every year prior, and I'm sure it'll be the same way this year. We've had enough donations to where every angler, everybody that fishes the tournament gets a little goodie bag that might have some baits or some koozies or, whatever items we get that we can put in the goodie bag. So, if you come fish, even if you don't win, you will leave to go home with something, whether it be a goodie bag or get lucky enough to win one of our great door prizes, which we have a bunch of them. Or bring some cash, and that's what we like is you guys to bring cash and buy raffle tickets, or maybe even have some silent auction items to bid on. Okay. And
so it's a five bass bag, right? Correct.
That's correct. That is correct. 5 fish. We've got a quarter-pound penalty per dead fish, but yeah, five bass limit, and of course, biggest fish for big bass.
Okay, so there's a biggest fish prize, and the biggest fish prize is actually encompassed within the $150 entry fee, is what you said.
That is correct.
Correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Oh. And it looks like the purse for our first prizes, or for heaviest five fish, is $1,700.
That's correct. So
is that correct?
That is correct. We employ a 70-30 pay structure where basically 70% goes back to the anglers, 30% goes directly to the foundation. So the payout is really based on how many boats we get. So if we have more than 50, that payout will go up. If we have less than 50, unfortunately, it goes down a little bit, but it's still a good chunk.
Sure. Well, that's fair. That's fair. That is not a bad payout right there.
No, it's not. And look, that's
payout for five places, correct?
Well, it depends on the number of boats. So 5 places up to 50, and then I believe it's an additional place every 10 boats. And one thing I think is important to note that we try to make sure that the anglers are it's certainly for a reason, and the money is going directly to the foundation. It's not going to, we're not raising money for the family. My nephew, luckily his family they're financially stable, and they don't need the actual the funds because of it. But we're donating to the foundation itself to help them find a cure. And so, our goal is to have a payout that's good enough to incentivize people to come out and fish. If they're not just out for the cause, and a lot of people are. I mean, that's okay. We want these guys to go home with their winnings. I have fished a lot of benefit tournaments where you kind of feel obligated to donate your winnings back, and we don't feel that way. We don't feel that way. I don't want anybody to feel bad about not donating their winnings back. We want the guys to keep that money. They've done their part by paying the entry fee, by joining the tournament, and by showing up to listen to our cause and to fish, for the foundation that we're trying to support. So we definitely are trying to get it to where it's a good enough payout. I'd love to have at one point where we have a guaranteed pay structure. But for now, the format that we've been using has been successful, and it's equated to having a good enough payout to incentivize anglers to come out and fish.
You know what, Chris? I'm going to go out on a limb here. I've never done this before, but I do this because I love the fish. I fished Lake St. John with a good friend of mine named Charles Anderson before, and I had a blast on that lake, man. I love Lake St. John. It's, boat docks, boat ramps,
yep,
cypress trees, all kinds of cool stuff in that lake, man. But I want to say, if anybody wants to fish this, they have a boat. I don't have a boat, guys. But what I do have is like 45 years of bass fishing experience. I'm not going to tell you I'm an elite pro. I'm not even close to that. But I have been fishing for my entire life obsessively. If anybody wants me as a partner, just direct message me. I'm there at J Angel. I don't hide my profile. It's all over the place. I want to come and fish this tournament. I will pay half the entry fee, and I will also pay you for gas.
Jay,
So
that would
just
be
go
cool,
ahead and
man.
direct message me.
That'd be cool if we could get you up
Thank
there
you.
for sure. So, any of our guys that are listening that maybe don't have a partner, don't let that deter you. We've got a guy right here that would love to share that boat, and I would love nothing more for him to be able to make it up there and fish with us. So,
I'd like to do that. I'd like to come up there and fish Lake St. John for a day. Man, of course, I just love to fish, man. I am not the best bass angler. I cannot skip 16 times and land it and then land on a dime. I can't do that. But I love the wacky rig. I love to throw liftless crankbaits. I love to throw jerk baits. Man,
yeah, it's tough, man. You watch those guys that do it for a living. It's a different deal. They have mastered the art, and I guess I can skip
well,
a
think
little
about it, Chris.
when I'm not trying to, but
Well, think about it, Chris. If you fished 150 days a year like the Elite Series pros do, you'd get a lot better than you are right now.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, as much as these guys have had to fish just to make it there.
Oh yeah, man, that's trial by fire.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've got a day job and it's not fishing, so I get to do it whenever I can. But
yeah, I have the same problem. I have a 40-hour a week job too.
absolutely.
I like my 40-hour a week job, but this is what I like to do. If I could, I would not fish as a tournament pro. I just wouldn't do it. I would do this.
Yeah.
What I'm doing right now. This is what I love to do. That's why I podcast. I love the podcast. Now, I respect the heck out of those guys who fish the Elite Series. I respect the heck out of the guys who fish the Major League Fishing. I just respect them. They've earned their spot there. And boy, that's trial by fire getting in that. But this is what I want to do. And you know what, guys? I meant what I said. First person who direct messages is me. I'll fish with you, man. We'll meet at the boat ramp and we'll spend the day fishing.
Yeah, Jay, that's great. Maybe you'll entice somebody that's kind of sitting on the sideline thinking they don't have a partner, and now hearing that you're willing to come out there and fish with them, that might entice somebody. I appreciate you doing that. And again, guys, please come out and join us. Jay, if you don't mind, I'd like to take just a little bit to talk about cystic fibrosis, since that's what the event's for. And
sure, go ahead.
Yeah, just kind of mention a little bit about the disease and what we're trying to do. Our cause all started, I guess, nearly 7 years ago when my nephew Asher Farmer was born, and which was actually just a couple of days after my daughter. And we found out that he had cystic fibrosis, and we had no idea that really what cystic fibrosis was or what it affected. Now we know what it is, and that it's a genetic disorder that basically affects the mucus producing cells. So it affects your lungs and your pancreas and other organs as well. And whereas folks without CF, their glands and their organs and all, the mucus that we produce is a really thin secretion, whereas it's very much thickened in a CF patient. So it blocks passageways that in the lungs and the pancreas and reproductive system, all that good stuff. But anyhow, we didn't know what it was, and so I think I mentioned this last time we talked. But, I didn't know how to help, but I fished and I had fished some benefit tournaments. And I thought, what, let's have one day out of the year where really for the family, for my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, Kevin Farmer and Heather Farmer, and any of those other folks that show up that day that are affected by cystic fibrosis, for there to be one day where everybody's smiling and gathering because of this illness, this disease, this disorder, and not upset because of it. It's something to bring some joy, for that one day out of this situation that these families have been dealt. So, but yeah, just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit and kind of get the word out. That's what our foundation's about, is getting the word out about CF to those like me that didn't have a clue what it was and what it was about. And we didn't even know that my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were carriers. They had two other children together that were healthy without CF, and cystic fibrosis with the mutation the way that it is, really, it takes both parents to have the genetic mutation. All right, so that's very unlikely in itself, and then you have to pass on the genetic mutation to your child, and the child has to have both mutations. So even then, if you find two people that the stars align where they both have the mutation, there's only a 1 in 4 chance even at that for the child to have it. So it's extremely, extremely rare. But again, just want to take a moment to kind of talk about cystic fibrosis and what it is, and why we're gathering for this cause and what we're trying to do with this tournament to help cure. Back in the day, years and years and years ago, the life expectancy was very dim, and they've come a long way through studies and drugs like Trikafta and other medicines that have really done a world of good in the CF population to increase that life expectancy to way later in life. And so anyhow, that's what we're doing. Our funds are going to that to help these guys fight this disease. But just again,
okay, well,
kind of talk about that a little bit.
Thank you very much for telling us that. We have a couple of comments from the audience. First one is from Gerald Thornhill. He said you're the best.
That's my uncle. He has.
And the second one is from a good friend of mine named Keith. Yeah. Well, I'm Gerald. Thank you very much for coming on and commenting. I really appreciate you. And the second one is from a good friend of mine named Cajun Rob, who is also a podcaster. He said, "Great cause."
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And also we got a shout out from Sean Spar, who's a good friend of mine, and also been on my podcast.
Thank you, Sean.
So, thank you very much. And you have fished Lake St. John, haven't you?
Quite a bit. Yeah. We, I guess my family has had a little camp up there now for, oh gosh, I don't even know how long. It's got to be getting close to 20 years now, 15, 20 years. So yeah, I fished it quite a bit. Now, I started having children, I guess 6 years ago. So I'm not fishing it as much as I would like to, or as much as I have in the past. But yeah, we still get up there and fish quite a bit. It's a good lake, nice lake. Why
don't you tell our audience a little bit about the fishing there? What kind of structure do you like? What are the depths? What kind of structure do you target? What can they expect from the bass there? Do they have 7-pounders there? Do they have 10-pounders there? Or are there a bunch of 4-pounders? What kind of a fishery is it?
So Lake St. John is a closed oxbow, and for those of you that may not know, an oxbow was back years and years and years ago was part of the river, Mississippi River, and at some point it became landlocked naturally, and so that's kind of how it's structured. It's like an old river bend, right? That's closed off on both sides now. It's fairly barren in the middle. There's not much a structure, if you will, other than man-made, brush piles and whatnot that you'll see off the ends of the piers. But other than that, it's basically boat docks and cypress trees with, kind of some shallower flats on either end that shallows out into pretty decent spawning grounds. But yeah, it's a lot of cypress tree fishing, a lot of pier fishing. So as far as the size of the fish there, Jay, I mean, it's loaded up with 2s, 3s, and 4s, and you'll get the occasional. I think the biggest bass in our tournament, I want to say was an 8-pounder a couple of years ago. Took big bass. They have them out there. They have the 7s and the 8s and the 9s. You don't hear them all too often, but they're definitely in there for sure. And just a whole bunch of 4, 5s, and 6s.
That sounds like fun, man. A whole bunch of 4, 5s, and 6s. That's enough to get me up there. I have been up there, like I said. I've also fished Concordia and Black River. Man, I've fished quite a few of the lakes up there with Charles Anderson. I think Charles and I have fished together 4 times. I just had a blast every time, man. Those lakes, I could tell they're full of fish. The water isn't as dirty as most of the water I fish, because I fished the spillway a lot.
Sure.
And that water, it's never clear. But, Find some clear water in Louisiana. I dare you. I double dog dare you. You come and tell me where it's
right.
at.
So St. John,
but the lake,
you mentioned
the water is about as clear as I've seen.
Yeah, you mentioned Concordia. You mentioned Black River Lake. Lake Concordia and Lake St. John are, for those of you that maybe are familiar with Concordia and not St. John, they're very close. As I guess as the crow flies, they're probably a mile or so apart at their ends, and they fish very similarly. Whereas Concordia has a little bit deeper water in places that St. John does not have. Concordia is a little bit longer and narrower. Concordia, you'll have boat docks down one side and very few, maybe only a couple on the other side, whereas St. John is basically wrapped all the way around it except for the ends with boat docks. But the water clarity in Concordia and St. John is very similar. You go just a little bit north, 20, 30 miles or so when you get to Lake Bruin. Lake Bruin is, I guess, a much clearer oxbow and the biggest of the three. But they all fish somewhat similarly. Each has their own nuances, and certain things might work a little bit better on one lake than the other. But they're very, very similar lakes. So if you guys are familiar with Bruin or Concordia, you can basically apply the same techniques on St. John and have a pretty good day.
We have another couple more comments one great comment from the audience. It's Heather Jeffries, farmer best uncle ever, Chris.
So Heather is the.
Did you get that?
I did, and Jay, I think there might be a little bit of delay between this, so I apologize if I act like I'm talking over you. I'm not trying
there
to.
Is.
But Heather is actually the mother of Asher Farmer, who this foundation is for, and she's my sister-in-law, my wife's sister, and she means a whole heck of a lot to us, as well as her husband. Her husband, of course, my brother-in-law, is one of my best friends in the world. I'm very lucky, Jay, in that I've got a very close-knit family, and we all get along. My wife is one of three, and all of us all get along, and the husbands are all best friends, and so we'll do anything in the world we can to support Heather and Kevin.
Well, that's fantastic, man. That is just fantastic. So, guy coming up there fishing this lake, never fished this lake before. He's going to do, what I call the J method of fishing tournaments. I just show up and fish.
Yeah.
And that's just, I've done it so many times. What would you tell them? Okay, so there's cypress trees and there's docks. So I'm going to go out on a limb here. Shallow water, of course, Louisiana, shallow water, Louisiana. I'm not talking about Toledo Bend, of course. What would you tell them to use?
It depends, Jay. If they're fishing a tournament against me, I wouldn't tell them anything. No, I'm joking. But in all seriousness, for guys that want to come up there and catch some fish, there's always a shallow bite, and that goes for anywhere, right? Whether it's Toledo Bend or whether it's Lake St. John, but there's always some fish shallow. There's always going to be a population there to be caught. But on St. John, as well as a lot of the other oxbows, especially this time of year, we're getting into in this tournament, mid to late May, we'll be in basically fully a post-spawn pattern. A lot of those fish have done their thing. Yeah, they've done their thing up shallow, and they're all heading back to their summer feeding grounds, and some of that is just along the piers. They'll kind of work their way out from the shallow water down the piers out to the ends, and sometimes you can intercept them middle way down the pier. Sometimes they're hanging on the end. There is a lot of brush piles that people have planted around the lake, usually fairly close proximity to the ends of the piers. A lot of times they might be a cast away from the pier because somebody that owns that pier may have planted them there. They can fish them. These days, with the technology that we have in these boats now, with side imaging and now FFS forward facing sonar, there's not many secrets left. So even a guy that lands on that lake for the first time ever, it doesn't take him long to find some offshore, off the bank structure in form of brush piles and tops and old fallen trees and whatnot. But if you come that time of year, really from now into the fall, if you come there with a jig, some type of soft plastic, whether it be a finesse worm on a tough day, or maybe we get in the summertime and you've got that, the big 10-inch worm when they're wanting that, or really a topwater. St. John is a really good topwater lake. It always has been for me, at least. I know a lot of guys have done well there, on topwater, and whether that be buzzbait or frogs or Zara spook. There's a period there about the time of my tournament on into the summer where a Zara spook topwater really shines, and I've caught a lot of good fish there on a buzzbait. I mean, on a Zara spook, and I've had my butt kicked a lot by somebody else throwing a Zara spook when maybe I wasn't that day. But okay. Topwater.
We have another comment from the audience. It's Greg McVay. He said soft plastics and crankbaits are a good place to start.
Y'all don't listen to him. That's my dad. He's fished the lake a time or two as well, and he'll be fishing the tournament too. But he's right. Crankbaits. I didn't mention crankbaits, and ought to be shot for not having done so. These piers, a crankbait bite is always good around these piers, whether it be along the edges or on the fronts of them.
Depending on when the spawn actually took place, and of course, not all bass spawn at the same time. Not all parts of the lake spawn at the same time. But if beds, you can catch bass on pretty much just about anything, because they're off that bed and they're hungry. The big females have their tails torn up, and one of my favorite, if I can find a spawning bay where there's lots of spawning beds, man, I'm gonna throw a chug lure, like a chug bug, or something maybe even a little older than that.
Sure.
Like a rebel type.
There's been a lot of fish caught on the chug bug up there too, but I do like the chug bug, and you're right. It can be a really, really productive pattern that time of year.
Just about anything, if those bass are, that would be the ideal situation if the spawn is just about over and there's no more bass coming, but there's a lot of them going, and some of them still spawning. That's about the best time of the year that I have found to fish bass.
Yeah, I think by the time we get to May, when the tournament is, it'll be, for the most part, pretty well wrapped up. I don't know that I'm not going to say you won't have a few stragglers, but those fish are doing their thing right now and have been for a little while. So by the time we get to May, I think you're going to be in that post spawn bite where the fish have dropped, and it can be a funny period too, depending on what stage they're in, where they just kind of want to go up there and suspend and hang out and not eat a whole lot. But this tournament, every year, somebody finds them, and you'll have a handful of guys come in saying they just didn't catch hardly anything. They couldn't find them. And then you'll have guys come in and say they caught 40, 30, whatever it may be. And, average weight.
They caught 60 of them.
Yeah. Average weight for this tournament to win it usually goes somewhere between 15 up to 20 pounds. And it depends on the year, when these guys are stroking them, you better have 16,
so a 3 to 4 pound average.
That's right. For sure.
16, 17 pounds to be competitive is what you said?
Yeah. If you want to feel good about yourself when you're fishing 16, 17 pounds, then you need to have it. You need to find it pretty quick.
Okay, I heard that, man. I'm really kind of hoping somebody contacts me. I'd really like to get up there and see how I do. And really looking forward to this.
I'd like you to join, and even if you don't find anybody to fish with, by all means, come out and hang out and just see what we're all about. and I'll be there at the tournament all day long, there at the ramp. That's probably the hardest part for me is throwing a tournament and not fishing a tournament, and watching everybody leave to go have fun and fish, and to stay back and put it on. But yeah, if you get a notion, by all means, even if unfortunately somebody does not, select you as a partner or need you as a partner, then come hang out with us. We'll be up there. We'll be hanging out.
That'd be awesome, man. I'd really enjoy that. I really enjoy that. So, guys, come on out there. May 18th, Lake St. John, up there by Vidalia, Louisiana, which is which if you don't know where that is, it's right across the river, right across the Mississippi River from Natchez, Mississippi. It's one of the oxbow lakes, like Chris was explaining. It was an old meander belt scar from the Mississippi River, and the Mississippi River decided it wanted to do something else. And these lakes, they're just full of bass. If you don't like to fish bass, you just want to come up there and fish. There's also a lot of panfish there, crappies, bluegills, white bass, catfish. If you need tackle up there, Monarcha Bait and Tackle in Findlay. Did I say that right?
Faraday. It's in Faraday.
And that's
Charles
Anderson,
Anderson.
Ohio. Charles Anderson, Monarcha Bait and Tackle.
That's right.
Go ahead, man.
I was just going to say we'd be foolish to not mention Charles and what he's done. Not just for me, because he's done a lot for me and our foundation and getting the word out. And really, we saw our entries explode when Charles became involved and helping us get the word out. But not only that, what he's done for the area. Charles.
Oh yes.
I pick at him sometimes and tell him that, man, if you keep getting companies, I'm going to run out of room on my sponsor banner to list you, because he's got Bass in the Boot and Shongaloo and his lure company, and Minorca Bait and Tackle.
Yeah.
I know I'm probably missing one, but Charles has done a really good thing to try to promote that area, promote the fishing in that area, and give the local anglers a hub, if you will, to get together. He's done a lot of really nice tournaments, and unfortunately, I've not been able to get up there very often to fish with him, just because of my, I guess, work schedule and obligations. But he's done a great job in promoting that area, throwing tournaments to promote the area, bringing guys from down here where I'm at in South Louisiana up there to that area as well. But Charles is a very good guy, a very good friend of mine, and somebody that I'm happy to have affiliated with our tournament.
I completely agree with you. I could not agree with you more. He's Charles. That's why I wanted to give Charles a shout out here. He's the one who introduced me to Chris McVay. And now I have the privilege of promoting his fine event. And I truly look upon it as that. It is a privilege to promote this event. I've done it before. I'm going to do it again. And Chris, so once again, I'm going to go over this. Kickin'Bss for cystic fibrosis, May 18th on Lake St. John. If you want to know how to get a hold of him, it's down there at the bottom. He has a Facebook page called Kickin'Bss for cystic fibrosis. Or you can look up Chris McVay. His name's right there. You can send him a direct message on Facebook. Either way you get a hold of them, please get a hold of them. Sign up for this tournament, guys. It's for a great cause. They're going to feed you. They're going to feed you meals, and they're not just going to give you a stupid sandwich. It's going to be more than that.
That's right. Yeah, it won't be a sandwich. If we have to resort to a sandwich, we're all going hungry. We're in trouble. But one thing I've learned
about Louisiana, when they say if a Louisianan tells you they're going to feed you, they're not just going to give you a sandwich. It's one thing I've learned.
We usually have a pretty good spread. I don't think anybody has ever left there hungry, and if they have, it was their own fault. But
yeah, it's their own fault. Yeah, I'm a vegan.
We enjoy it, man. It's this tournament has gotten to be really I don't want to sound braggadocious. I'm not trying to, but it's kind of become, I guess, a staple for that community there as well. And I think I've mentioned this in our last podcast, but I'll say it again. You know, we could probably move the tournament to a bigger lake or down here in the basin where we can support more boats and maybe get a higher turnout. But it's become part of that community, and really the amount of money that we raise is just a drop in the bucket. No matter what, even if we doubled or tripled our attendance, which, you know, granted we want, you know, a good attendance, but it's only a drop in the bucket to what that foundation needs. And but we're doing this to support CF, and it also helps, you know, support that area, and the guys that have come to fish it have been loyal to us, and we're going to keep it there as long as I possibly can. It's going to be there on that lake, and you know, every year the tournament starts coming up, and it's a lot of work that goes into it, and I think it's only human to start, you know, thinking, oh man, here comes the time of year where I've got to put this work into this event, but it means so much to us, and it never fails that every single year when it gets to be about time for the tournament, something happens to I guess rekindle that passion. Not that you ever lose it when you're affected by it, but, you know, for instance, I was in a duck camp back, I don't know, I guess it was back in January, and a guy that I did not know, had never met, he approached me and he said, man, I think your name's Chris McVay. And I said, yeah. I said, how did you know that? And he goes, well, don't you throw the Kickin'Bss for Cystic Fibrosis tournament? I said, yeah, I do. And this gentleman's name was Stephen Gajan, and he went on to tell me that his daughter was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, and you know, here I am in this duck camp, not thinking anything about it, and this gentleman approaches me, who we've now become very, very good friends, and he'll be up there as well, joining in on our cause too, because he's affected by it personally with his daughter, and you know, things like that. Every year, different people that I had no idea were affected contact me, and you know, I got a call just the other day from somebody that I've done business with for several years that, you know, told me that, hey, look, I've got cystic fibrosis. You know, thank you for what you're doing. And I had no idea. It's just a neat thing, man. It's neat to be a part of, and you know, I just thought it was cool how every year something comes along and just refires that passion you've got to do something for a good cause, you know.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, do you have any shout outs? I'm sure you have lots of thank yous you want to do. I'm sure you do.
You know, I've got a bunch, and the list is growing actually. So we're still, I guess here we are in March, and we're still in the phases of reaching out and getting, you know, sponsorships in the form of door prizes and raffle items and whatnot. But yeah, first and foremost, Jay, thank you. Thank you, and Let's Talk Fishing for allowing me to come on here. You know, you have professional fishermen come on here quite often, and to allow me to come on here and discuss this, it just means the world. If there's one person that watches this,
well, like I told you, it's an honor.
Didn't know about cystic fibrosis, and they learn something about cystic fibrosis, or they go and look it up. If one person watches this and that happens, then we've succeeded in our goal, right? But first and foremost, thank you, Jay. And going from there, I'll go through some of our sponsors that we have so far. And Bobby Bayou Blades, Mr. Bobby Zulo. When you talk about going out and asking for donations, you know, years ago I would ask for, I say years ago when it first started, you know, 7 years ago, I would go out to 300-400 companies, you know, local companies, local tackle suppliers, you know, all fishing related, all outdoors related companies to try to get door prizes. And I might have 20 or 30 actually agree. And when you have somebody like Bobby Zulo, who he's given us every year for the last few years, he makes knives. He pounds them out. He starts with just a piece of metal, and the next thing you know, he's got the most beautiful knife that, Sean, thank you. I see that comment about the plastic. It'll definitely help. We appreciate it. But, you know, Bobby sweats over this, his kiln for, I guess, whatever you call it. He's, you know, making these knives, and he sweats for weeks to make these knives for us. That means a lot to us. But also MG handcrafted leather, Michael Guillo, another fisherman from that area that supports our cause. He's a leather worker. He makes duck slings and gun slings and any kind of leather products, knife sheaths. He does a great job with that. He'll be there with his products. Culture Creole Seasonings. It's a close friend of mine, actually, that has a seasoning company. And guys, it's some of the best seasoning that you've tried. Between his crawfish bowl, his fish fry, or just his powdered Creole seasoning, it's awesome. That's Culture Creole. That's Mr. Jarvis Joseph. Baudouin Baits, Landon Baudouin out of Des Allemands. Cool story. When he started supporting us, he was a college kid that had his own lure company, and he was sending us, packages of lures. That was kind of neat. And he's been there with us since day one, and he's still with us today. So we appreciate Landon. Tangy Rods, Patrick Argeron. Again,
yes.
Patrick was one of our very first sponsors. He builds us a rod every year, and I think this year he's got some lures and some baits that he's pouring as well. So we're looking forward to that. I can't say enough thanks to Patrick for sticking with us as long as he has, and being one of the first ones that when he didn't really even know what our cause was or if it was even legit at that point. So I appreciate that. Cricket Custom Lures, Mr. Dustin Furchek out of Texas. Another guy that I didn't know from Adam before this tournament, and he paints lures, hand paints them, whether it be hard baits, as arrow spooks or rattle traps or crankbaits. Does beautiful work. Cricket Custom Lures, you can look him up on Facebook. We talked about Charles Anderson, but we'll give him another shout out too with Bass in the Boot, Shongaloo, Minorca. I think maybe that's all. Minorca, Shongaloo. Yeah, I think that's all of them.
Yeah, Minorca Bait and Tackle.
Yeah, Minorca Bait and Tackle right there in Faraday. I think he does breakfast maybe every morning on the weekends, and has a lure selection there of baits there, little tackle shop. And then Shongaloo Lures, he pours his own lures that are fantastic. He's got a bait called the Rougarou that I wish nobody else knew about, but it's really good. Go look that up. Black Label Tackle, Mr. Cliff Pace, professional angler.
Wow.
Yeah, he came
guy
on.
He's won the Bassmaster Classic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just cool to me to even speak with him in regards to him donating lures. But every year for the last couple, 2 years or so, 3 years, he has sent us some of his handmade balsa lures, and these crankbaits they're hard to give away, Jay. I get some good stuff, and they're hard to give away. Thump 'em Soft Plastics by Sean Spar, our newest sponsor and donor. I see the message come across here. Sean, thank you, man. I appreciate that a lot. Boat Buckle, another national company. Boat Buckle has been with us since day one, and they send us a box full of boat buckles every year, and we give those out. That's really cool. Another national company, 4 Imprint. They're a promotional item company. They send us, man, when we get 4 Imprint stuff in, it's usually in 2 big, huge boxes, and it's all kinds of stuff from ice chests to different promotional items. It's really been neat to see what we get from those guys. Bass Pro Shops and Kickin'Bss, another national sponsor and donor of ours. They've been incredibly good to us over the years, and again, since day one. And we've received a pretty nice gift card that we're able to go out and spend on door prizes and rods and reels and stuff that we raffle off to help raise more money or give us door prizes to incentivize people to come fish. Spillway Sportsman, Jay, I'm not sure if you know about Spillway Sportsman here in Bruley.
They're across the river, yeah.
Just across the river, Mr. Scott Rowe. Yep, Mr. Scott Rowe, who owns Spillway, another close friend of mine, an incredible human being. They donate to us. Bayou Lafourche Bass Club, which is my bass club. Sean Madare, who heads that up, again, near and dear to us. They help us out, and they usually donate something from our club to the tournament every year. And these guys are a joy to fish with. And some of those guys will be up there as well this year, I believe. At least I sure hope so. That's just the ones that have committed so far, Jay, but that list will get a lot longer, and I feel bad for the folks that I've not yet contacted.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If somebody wants to get involved, just like Sean Spar did tonight, how would they go about that, Chris?
Man, contact me the same way that you would if you want to join the tournament, whether that be through my email that I gave out earlier. I can post that on the Facebook page. It's on our flyer, which is on the Facebook page. Look me up on Facebook, Chris McVay, my messenger. My phone number, I'll give that out now, is 225-819-6845. Call me, and we'd love to partner up with you guys. Anybody that's outdoors related, companies, fishing companies, I mean, even hunting companies, or really, anything. We have typically, I haven't reached out to them yet, but like companies like K2 Coolers, they have been very good to us over the years, and Cajun Outboards has been, and Brian's Marine, and there's just so many more that I haven't even listed yet. Because I just haven't gotten to reach out to them to make sure that they're in, but I'm sure that they will be. Those type of companies have been with us for a while. But yeah, look me up, Facebook, email, phone number, and we'd love nothing more than to partner with you guys. And look, we're very blessed in that we do have these companies that are able to sponsor us and donate us and give us product to help raise money, but we'll do what we can in return too, just like we just did, giving shout outs on your podcast. To me, being on this
absolutely
offers me a platform, not just to talk about cystic fibrosis and not just to talk about our tournament, but to get the names out for these companies that I've mentioned, to tell these guys thank you. We have a sponsor banner that we display there at the weigh-in that lists every company or whoever that has given us anything, to help us along the way to raise awareness for this illness in this tournament. So,
okay, I have a couple more comments I'd like to get through. Tim Ford says, "Go Spirit Animal." Kevin Farmer said, "Love you, brother. You're doing great work. And thank you, Jay, for your time." Erica Jeffries McVay says, "The Facebook page is Kickin'Bss for cystic fibrosis."
That's my supports team, man. But you just mentioned a lot of them. Erica's my wife. And again, Kevin is the father to Asher, one of my best friends in the world. And Tim, that's Uncle Tim. And back at you, Spirit Animal. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to put up one more thing from Sean since he was so generous. Sean, I am going to give your information to Chris after the show. He will be contacting you. Thank you very much for all your participation, Sean. And man, you know what, Chris? Thank you so much for giving me the honor of spreading the word about this worthwhile cause that you're doing here. I really hope I get to come up there and take and participate. I really, really hope I get to do that. I think you're doing a great job, Chris. I think you're doing a great thing here. Not just for cystic fibrosis, but for being an ambassador to this. I don't even call it a sport. Fishing to me is a lifestyle, man. It's a lifestyle. And you are an ambassador to this lifestyle that I am so passionate about. Because when you do something like this, it isn't just for fishing or for cystic fibrosis. It's for the entire sport of fishing. And so you're promoting that too.
There's no doubt, Jay, and and you're exactly right. We have taken the platform of fishing to promote our cause, and that's because of my passion and a lot of my family's passion for the sport. And you're exactly right, because it may be that somebody's not really a bass angler or a fisherman, but they hear about the cause and it brings them out to the event, and maybe they even jump in a boat with somebody and they learn how to fish. And really, I guess my dream through this deal, something I think would be really cool is, my daughters, I've got a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. And of course the 2-year-old's a little bit too young, but even though she went fishing with me last weekend, but the 6-year-old's starting to be a pretty good stick, man. She's starting to catch some fish, and little Asher, I would love nothing more to keep this thing alive long enough to get him interested in fishing, and to see him and my daughter, who were born 2 or 3 days apart, to join a boat together and fish as a team. That would just I don't know, man. That would be pretty cool to be able to see it.
That is pretty cool. And guys, if any of you are out there thinking, man, I can't go and compete against these guys, benefit tournaments, whereas, of course, you're going to have the super competitive guys there. But all in all, the reason I fish them, those of you guys who know me, you know I'm not in good health. And I certainly can't move like I used to be able to move because of the operation I had. But I go and fish these things just for fun. You know, and a lot of the other guys go there just to hang out, have a good time, catch some fish, you know. And of course, there's going to be the really good fishermen there too. And I like to see where I fall with those guys too. But you know, for the most part, I'm just there to have fun. I can't fish a straight 8 hours in a row, but you know, for a while I'll sit down, and if I see something really interesting that I just have to cast at, I get up and cast at it. But that's how I do this, man. I go there to have fun. I'm gonna have fun. I'm not gonna get too upset about anything, you know. I'm not 25 years old anymore. But Chris, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, for giving me the opportunity to spread the word about this tournament. Thank you, everybody. We had a lot of people commenting. We had a lot of people who came and watched. I was watching that all year or all hour long. Thank you so much for coming in, tuning in to the Let's Talk Fishing podcast. Again, my name's James, always your podcaster, but more important to me, of course, is my guest, and that's Chris McVay, Kickin'Bss for cystic fibrosis. With that, I'm going to end the podcast, guys. Thank you so much and Chris, please stick around.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.